to the She Cultivates Podcast, a space where we talk about faith, personal growth, and cultivating meaningful connections. My name is Elizabeth Samion, and I am your host. And if you've noticed, we have a whole new look, a whole new studio space, and a whole new name. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. All of that helps us to grow. I am here at Hi Hello Labs in this new studio space. And honestly, if you saw a few months ago, like literally 2 or 3 months ago, we had a whole pink studio. We had our beauty marks with all of that. And so now we have evolved and changed. And I feel like a little bit like more like matured, elevated. And I'm just super excited for what 2025 is going to bring. So what is this new rebrand? So I want you guys to know that we are just Beauty Marks Podcast 2.0. We are evolving and pivoting, but we are still the same heart. We're all about growing our personal growth, community, our healing, cultivating a best self. And so every week we'll be having different conversations when it comes to practical tools, mindset tips, wellness, talking about business, talking about just life and things that we're navigating as women. And so we're going to be a space where you can come every week to just have these meaningful conversations and just always know that we are cultivating a space together. I feel like cultivate is such a word that we use, and that's so meaningful to me because it takes time. It takes work. There's different parts of cultivating, the ugly, the good. And so as we cultivate this year in different areas of our life, I'm inviting you in on this conversation. And so that is something exciting that is coming and it's here. And we are so happy with the name of She Cultivates Podcast. And this wouldn't be possible without Beauty Marks Podcast. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I know a few of you guys have been on this journey for over 4 years with this community. So I am so thankful for you because without you, we wouldn't be here today. And I know that a part of me even starting Beauty Marks Podcast was because I saw that I was going through a journey and I felt alone on my journey and I was evolving and had questions and had certain challenges. And through that, that's what led to me starting the podcast. And then She Cultivates started in-person community. And so I honestly never thought that it was going to merge. I always thought it was going to be like Beauty Marks is like my thing, but let's be real. We change as people. We have different things that we're looking forward to, things that happen in life. And so as I was literally it was kind of like a shower thought that I was thinking about my year of last year and I was like, you know what? Like, what am I dedicating the most time to? And if I was honest, I was dedicating a lot of time towards She Cultivates, which I love. I love bringing women together. I love having these events and I love just creating a space where women can come together. And I was like, how about if I merge them and I make it something that it's like She Cultivates is a part of She Cultivates the community, and like merging them together. And so Beauty Marks Podcast will always be my baby. And a lot of people have asked, they're like, wait, no more pink? Like, what is happening? I think I've also, when I turned 29, and maybe it's just me, but I felt like I have changed and evolved as a person. And I felt like my interest, my growth, and like what I wanted to focus on changed. And I have healed through my journey, and I'm still a work in progress, but I have overcome a lot of things in the past few years that I have been able to talk through and walk through. But I want now to be a space where I can teach and empower and show you that you can create and cultivate a life that you love despite things that have happened, and you can have different areas of your life that you cultivate aside from just your mental health and your personal growth. So I'm very excited for what's to come. I know that it's all new, and as new things, trust me, even with this intro today, I was like, wait, what am I saying? Because we all need a little bit of, muscle memory, new things to say. But ultimately, my heart's the same. And I'm just so thankful for each of you guys that will be joining us on this journey this year as we cultivate and grow and flourish into who God made us, into who we're called to be, and bringing women alongside that will pour into you, that will be able to inspire you to grow, to keep going. And so, so I wanted to share that with you guys and now go into what we'll be talking about today. I know that I was away for like almost 3 months. So the holidays happened. And so I just wanted to talk about a little bit of what happened the past few months. And that will also explain even the change a little bit. more. And I wanted to start off by saying that our She Cultivates community is still going to be in Orlando, and we hope to expand and grow more to other cities. So, with this whole rebrand, I wanted to also announce that we are doing an in-person podcast live event on Friday, February 21st at 7 p.m. We have limited tickets with She Cultivates, and so you can buy your tickets in the link in bio at shecultivatesorl.com. And that is going to be an event that is a panel, empowering event for women that is all about cultivating your best self and your community. And so in this week's episode, I wanted to also go into kind of a recap, which I didn't do at the end of 2024. And so what's been happening, what happened in the last 3 months that I was away. If you don't follow me on Instagram, then I had a few things happen. Last year on my vision board, the biggest word that was on it was being assertive. And let's just say that I was a little tested in that area. And I feel like that's the area that tested me and grew me last year. And I was able to really be more stern, be more direct, more clear. And so that is one of the great things that came out of last year, seeing that I am resilient and able to get through a few of the things that I walked through with family, with my mental health. And last year, like for a lot of you guys, was not the easiest year. But like I always share, like I don't like to always say like this year was bad, this year was good, this year was like, there's so many good things that even come out of the ugly parts of your year or the hard parts of your year. And so I feel like I was able to work through a lot of that. And so in November, when I took a break from the podcast, that's when I actually had time to pause and just kind of think like, okay, what is it that I want for next year? Like, where am I at? What's working? What's not working? And despite that being a frustrating season for me, that's what actually was able to start this whole rebrand, was because I took some time to be still and to pause and be like, what is it that I really want, in this year? Where am I at? Like with myself, the goals that I have. And so I felt very strongly to be like, yeah, I need to make a shift. And it was kind of like an adult, like business move too, that I was like, what is going to work for next year, And I was really proud of myself for making that decision and actually making it and then going to people and being like, hey, like I'm planning on doing this, or like I'm thinking of doing this. Because other times I feel like I would wait to make a decision and then ask a whole bunch of people. But I had just like this gut feeling that it was like, this is the right move. Do I know for sure like everything's going to flourish because of this? No, but I'm taking that risk and I'm deciding to go all in on She Cultivates, which I love and I enjoy doing. And I feel like this makes sense for this season of my life. Going into 4 years with the podcast is kind of like you learn a lot of things that, I don't know, having a business or being an entrepreneur, a creative, it's a lot of personal growth. Like it's a lot of your personal growth journey because it shows you areas that you need to step up as being a leader, other ways that you need to innovate to survive, like figure out ways of income, like to be real, like there has to be certain areas of your life that you're like, okay, what is working, what's not? And so I usually sit with myself every quarter and I'm like, okay, where am I at? But this time it was like one of those shower thoughts that was like, yeah, you need to make this decision and like go with that and trust your gut. And so even though my frustrations is what led me, to that point where I was like, okay, what do I need to do? I'm so thankful for that because that's an area that I know that I grew. And I even told one of my close friends, I was like, before, like, I feel like I would be scared of change and shift, but at the same time, I feel like my life in the past 4 years has been full of that. It has been full of unknowns, leaps of faith, and so I will continue to do that. And I feel like once you do it, like you rip off the Band-Aid, then you're like, okay, I'm capable of doing this. I know I have it. Like I know I have the grit. I know I have the support. I know that no matter what, like I will learn from this if it is a decision or not. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in the not making decisions because it feels safe, but that's still a decision. Like you deciding to do nothing is still a decision. So I just encourage you to like take that leap, as you go into this year and all your dreams and all the things that you're doing, and maybe even the dreams that God's put in your heart, like go all in on it and just trust that it will all work out. And even if it doesn't, you will be okay. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned this past year. And I feel like also I've cultivated my health journey, that was a challenge. And that was an area that last year I was in so many doctor appointments. And to be honest with you guys, it was not easy. I went through my hormones getting checked, to allergies, to autoimmune, to visiting a neurosurgeon, which is very scary. And there has been a lot of frustrations that I have had over the past few months, and moments that I'm like, okay, why? Like, why don't I have the answers? And then it's like one thing leads to another, and a lot of out of pocket expenses if you want to do things holistically. And it's been a lot of me on the back end with my community that have been able to see that side of me, but still showing up and still deciding to show up. And I had a conversation earlier with someone that I was like, the biggest thing that I feel like I know how to do is just show up, because a lot of the time my body, my circumstances tell me no, like I don't feel like it, or I'm not in my best like self today, but I'm going to show up with what I have. And that's what has brought me along, in my faith. I feel like that has been a huge pivotal point. So this past year, I didn't really share it publicly, but I did on Instagram that I went one whole year without drinking alcohol. That was like my personal decision, because of like anti-inflammatory lifestyle that I've been doing. And I was like, you know what? That's always been something that I kind of felt pressured more than because I wanted to. It was like, okay, when you go out, you drink, but that's not something that really aligned with me. And I finally did that. And it's been the best thing ever for me. And I'm so glad that I did that. So I feel like I've been trying different things. I did red light therapy. I just did some different supplements to help me. And so it's just been honest journey, ebbs and flows of trying to figure out what it is. I still have certain rashes or allergic reactions that I don't know where they come from. And so I will always try to be authentic to showing up, and open with you guys. But I also feel like I have a lot of unknowns in my life right now. So I'm also trying to figure that out as well. So it's like a balancing act of showing up, but still knowing that I'm still working through things. And so I'm just super thankful for you guys for being on the journey. And I know a few of you guys that have struggled with your health, autoimmune diseases, your hormones, and you get it. And that sometimes that stuff is frustrating and it takes some time to figure out what it is. But I'm still cultivating this year a healthier lifestyle, a healthier mindset to stay positive and hopeful. And that's what I want to share with you guys. So for this year, there are a lot of unknowns. There are a lot of things that I'm excited for, like getting back into writing. I know literally a year ago this week, I had shared that I wanted to publish a book. Well, life was lifing. And so I put it on the back burner last year. And I wrote and I did my outline, but I didn't get to publish it. And so this year, just kind of thinking of what do I want to prioritize this year? It was like, okay, for sure, my faith, stronger community, and also writing. That's an area that my heart just I just know that I have to do this. And so I got back into that. And so I'm dedicating time blocks to do that. And so I'm super excited about that. And just changes now with the podcast and She Cultivates community, just to collaborate, to reach more people, to impact lives, to build a genuine, impactful community, and maybe to go to other cities, So we're really just, it's kind of like that balancing act that I'm talking about with even God sometimes, that I'm like, I have to trust His will for my life. And I have to be like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? But then it's also me acting on it and doing something about it. And so that's where I'm really trying to be. And even when I did my vision board this year, it was this is not the start that I had wanted to be honest, with some news about my health and just some frustrations that I had earlier this month. And I had that moment that I'm like, okay, but how can I hope, but also dream still, but also be in this reality that I don't know. I have a lot of unknowns. And I just felt this stillness, I guess, to just trust and to be with Him and trust that He has my year in His hands, So as I'm planning and working, and maybe you guys see me and you're you're always doing stuff and you're busy, but genuinely my heart knows that I have to be still with him to get through all the things. And like, I wouldn't be here today without him. And I know that he aligns my steps and he guides me, he opens doors for me. And so this past Sunday at church, they were talking about Mary and Martha. And if you know the story, it's about working because Jesus was at the house of Mary and Martha as a guest, with other people. So it was hosting, I love hosting. And so Martha was like busy working and she's like, trying to get the house prepped and everything. And then Mary's at the feet of Jesus and just like talking with him and listening. And Martha goes up to Jesus and is like, excuse me, like Mary is just chilling there and I'm like doing all the work. And a lot of us, like myself, have been the Martha, and are always busy doing and trying to show God that we're doing amazing stuff. And maybe our heart is even right, but that's not what God asks of us. So there was a scripture that is Luke 10:42 that says, "But one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen the good part, which will not be taken away from her. It's being still and lingering at the feet of Jesus." And so he is the one that brings the word of life. And so that story has really paved the way of how I'm starting this year and just trusting that I want to be more of a Mary. I want to be more at like, God, I'm being with you and I want you to guide my steps. I don't want to do stuff on my own or because I'm trying to show you like all the great stuff that I'm doing. And so if you align with that, as you plan out your vision board, as you do all of that, like just know that God is going before you. God is planning out your year and he's helping you out in everything. And so before I set out all these goals, which again, I do a vision board party. So I'm all for writing down your goals and visualizing them, but just know that there's a lot of unknowns in life. And as we've seen as the start of this year, there's so many things that are heavy and hard that people are walking through. And so just know and have peace that he's got you and we're going to get through this year one day at a time. And we're doing things to do the work and cultivate a healthy, better self, that can't be done alone. It's in community with him and also in community with others. So I'm just excited of what this year is going to bring. Let me know below what you think about the rebrand. Were you shocked? Were you not? What do you think is going to happen within this year? What guests should we have? And I'm just excited to bring you guys along the journey. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast, share it with a friend, let people know to tune into this week's podcast episode, and I will see you guys next week.